Li Changsheng crossed the Douluo continent and fell into the depths of the sea. He was unexpectedly brought back to the sea god island by the Haima Douluo and lived with the beautiful woman Daji for 6 years. 6 years passed quickly, and just as the child awakened his martial soul, various gods appeared to compete for the child in front of him to inherit his divine position. In the end, everything came to an end due to the intervention of the two gods. At the beginning, Li Changsheng was stunned by the fact that he received 2 divine exams. Leaving the sea god island, escorted by the sea dragon Douluo. Come to the mainland, seize the immortal grass, step on Tang San, destroy Tang Hao, kill Tang Chen, and see how he becomes the supreme deity. The future of many people in Douluo continent will ultimately change due to him. Keywords of the novel. Douluo. Opening divine position 9 exam arrival no pop-ups, Douluo. Opening divine position 9 exam arrival TXT complete collection download, Douluo. Opening divine position 9 exam arrival latest chapter reading. Chapter 1. Black Dragon pulling Coffin, seeking collection, seeking tickets. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1 Black Dragon pulling Coffin, seeking collection, seeking tickets. At night, the moonlight is like water, the bright moon is in the sky, and the cold and pure moonlight falls on the sea level, adding a touch of mystery to the peaceful sea. The entire Douluo star has a mainland area of only 30%, while the remaining 70% is entirely covered by the sea. So, deep in the sea, there are many forbidden areas and unparalleled powerhouses hidden that even land soul masters do not know. The most noteworthy one is that thousands of years ago, the dispute over the sea was quelled, and the sea god who became a deity among various ethnic groups in the sea was obtained, as well as the inheritance land left behind after becoming a deity, the sea god island. On this peaceful night, most soul beasts and soul masters are falling into a deep sleep, and at this moment, the laws of Douluo star begin to change. A space of different dimensions slowly opens up, and an endless chaotic atmosphere of laws emerges from the space. Along with it came a huge black dragon, with scars all over its body, as if it had gone through some great war. Behind the black dragon was a bronze ancient coffin, carved with ancient and mysterious runes, dark yet powerful. Boom! The black dragon rushed straight into the sea, making a loud noise that echoed through the entire ocean, awakening all the soul beasts and humans in the sea. At the same time, when it hit the seabed, the powerful force directly triggered a submarine volcano. Almost instantly, the sea area boiled up, and countless marine creatures died. At the moment when the coffin fell into the ocean, the chains on Black Dragon's body broke. Looking at the coffin behind him, Black Dragon's eyes showed emotional fluctuations. After a low roar, his 2 scales and 10 drops of heart blood melted directly into the coffin, and then flew away towards the depths of the universe. After the dragon left, the coffin slowly opened, revealing its true appearance. Surprisingly, it was a baby. Quickly, the coffin began to disappear, transforming into a black shield that enveloped the baby's body, blocking all external forces. Inside the protective cover, the baby slept soundly, with some saliva flowing from the corners of his mouth. He was not affected by the outside world at all, indicating that he was a promising candidate for great things in the future. Due to the impact of the black dragon on the seabed, the powerful force directly triggered the eruption of the underwater volcano. The sea area near the underwater volcano quickly boiled up, and countless marine creatures died here. After a while, the underwater volcano erupted completely, with countless huge stones soaring into the sky, heading towards the nearest Haima holy city with scorching temperatures. Almost instantly, the entire Haima holy city was covered in a sea of fire, with numerous casualties. Just as the people of Haima holy city felt hopeless, a brilliant blue light rose up from the sky, transforming into a shield that enveloped the entire Haima holy city. At the moment the shield was raised, a calm and gentle voice rang out. Haima, this is up to me. The responsibility of sealing the underwater volcano is up to you. Yes, a grand offering. Without hesitation, Haima Douluo immediately released the 9 soul rings on his body and quickly flew towards the direction of the underwater volcano. After arriving at the underwater volcano, Haima Douluo looked at the scene around him and frowned slightly, saying, "I didn't expect the underwater volcano to erupt so suddenly this time. Why on earth is it?" Without much thought, Haima Douluo rushed straight towards the entrance of the underwater volcano, and his 9th soul ring suddenly lit up. The 9th soul skill, the whirlwind and giant wave silent fist. Haima Douluo shouted loudly, unleashing endless soul power. You should know that Haima Douluo's 9th soul ring has a cultivation of up to 80,000 years and is very suitable for himself, so the power of this skill is obviously extremely powerful. At this moment, the 9th soul ring shone brightly, and the black halo rapidly expanded, forming a circular black curtain that surrounded him in the center. The massive energy fluctuations surged wildly, and the surrounding air twisted violently. Haima Douluo punched the entrance of the underwater volcano, and a massive water system surged towards it. Soon, the eruption of the underwater volcano was quelled. Looking at the subdued underwater volcano, Haima Douluo sighed and said, "Finally, it has stopped." Just as Haima Douluo turned around and wanted to leave, he suddenly discovered a sleeping baby next to the underwater volcano. Haima Douluo looked at the baby below and was very surprised, even rubbing his eyes in disbelief. Finally, he was shocked and said, "Damn it, why is there still a baby in this place? It's fake." Without hesitation, he immediately flew down, held the baby in his hand, and quickly returned to the Haima holy city. Looking at the subdued underwater volcano, Poseidon nodded in satisfaction, then withdrew his soul power and set his gaze on the sea horse Douluo. When she saw the baby in Haima Douluo's hand, she looked puzzled and asked curiously, "Haima, where did the baby in your hand come from?" Upon hearing this, Haima Douluo immediately said, "I picked it up near the underwater volcano." Listening to Haima Douluo's explanation, Poseidon looked at him with a silly expression, as if asking, "Do you think you are foolish or I am foolish? A baby, you told me you picked it up near an underwater volcano. Is this reason too much?" Haima Douluo looked at Poseidon's eyes with some grievances and said helplessly, "Great offering, this is really picked up near the underwater volcano." After speaking, Haima Douluo did not hesitate and immediately told Poseidon the details of the matter. When Poseidon heard that the baby seemed to have a protective cover on his body, his beautiful eyes blinked and he took the baby from Haima Douluo's body, wanting to see it through. After about a while, Poseidon, who was at level 99, still didn't notice anything. Finally, he looked at Haima Douluo and made up an excuse, saying, "I'll take care of this child for a few days. I'll observe if there are any problems with this child before we talk." Upon hearing this, Haima Douluo rolled his eyes, curious. "If you insist on observing problems, it's just a child. What problems can there be? This great offering is really becoming more and more perfunctory." However, upon reflection, Haima Douluo respectfully said, "Yes, a great offering." Watching the wise behavior of Haima Douluo, Poseidon's face showed a smile and said, "Haima, you're very good." After speaking, he quickly flew towards the sea god temple. Looking at Poseidon leaving, Haima Douluo shook his head helplessly and said, "Lord Poseidon is getting more and more perfunctory. He can even say such a reason, sigh." Upon returning to the temple of the sea, Poseidon immediately placed the baby on the bed. With beautiful eyes, she looked for a while, then extended her right hand and unleashed her soul power. When she found no response, she furrowed her brows slightly. "Isn't there anything special about this child?" Poseidon looked at the baby lying on the bed and murmured, "Descending from heaven in the form of a baby, unscathed, is it a descendant of some deity?" Poseidon, as the great deity of the sea god island and the spokesperson of the sea god in the mortal world, naturally knows some things that ordinary people do not know, such as the divine realm. On the entire continent, besides her own sea god inheritance, there is also a 6-winged angel martial soul in the martial soul hall, which she knows of as a place of inheritance. It is rumored that the sea god and the six-winged angel are both first-level gods, in charge of the ocean and sky, with strong strength. However, since the two of them ascended to the divine realm in Douluo continent, no soul master will ascend to become a god in the next 10,000 years. Therefore, it can be imagined how difficult it is for humans to become gods. After thinking for a while, Posesse became even more determined in his thoughts, and also thought of the man who left Sea God Island decades ago. The man left the Sea God Island with a vow of not returning until he became a god. However, decades have passed now, and no one knows how he is doing or what he is currently experiencing. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Posesse request. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. Posesse request. Midnight. After waking up from sleep, Changsheng opened his eyes and looked at the decoration above his head. He was slightly taken aback and asked, "Where is this?" Without hesitation, he looked around and found that the decorations around him were somewhat similar to Western decorations, both in the deep blue of the sea, mysterious and ancient. After suppressing my own thoughts, I reached out my little hand and thought to myself, who am I? Where am I? Have I traveled or been reborn? Or is it a cycle of reincarnation? It may be that the brain has just turned on and a series of reactions have caused the woman next to it to notice. The woman opened her eyes and looked at the baby waking up next to her. She immediately sat up and held the baby in her hand, using her soul power to detect it. What caught Changsheng's eye was a stunning face, with sea blue long hair scattered behind her. At this moment, she was curiously staring at Changsheng. And Changsheng also looked over, and at this glance, he was shocked. Such a beautiful woman, compared to his previous life, is countless times more beautiful. After looking for a while, Changsheng's small face, carved with powder and jade, showed a hint of doubt. Is this person my mother in this lifetime? Poseidon used her soul power to detect for a while, only to find that she still couldn't enter the body of the child in front of her. It was then that she increasingly felt that the child in front of her was definitely a descendant of a certain deity. Otherwise, with her level 99 cultivation, how could she not detect the body of a baby? Isn't this funny? Thinking of this, Poseidon turned her gaze to the child in front of her. She noticed that when the child in front of her was also looking at her, she seemed to have noticed something. So she tentatively asked, "Can you understand what I'm saying?" Upon hearing this, Changsheng blinked his eyes, and after a while, he nodded, indicating that he could understand. Now it was Poseidon's turn to be shocked, and then he regained his senses. His gentle voice rang out, saying, "Little one, where do you come from? Is that the world above?" Changsheng was taken aback. What does that mean? Isn't this person his mother in this lifetime? Otherwise, why would she ask this question? And what kind of world is the world above? Is there a god in this world? Changsheng, who realized he didn't know anything, was also slacking off at this moment. Anyway, he died once. What are you afraid of? So he didn't answer Poseidon's question, instead he leaned on Poseidon's arm and continued to sleep. After all, even Changsheng himself didn't know the questions she asked. How did he answer her? 6 years passed like this, and Changsheng, dressed in a black robe, stood at the sea god temple with an expression of lovelessness on his face. A few years ago, he realized that he had come to the world of the fantasy floor brick Douluo continent, and the woman who had slept with him was Poseidon, one of the 3 peerless Douluo, and also a major deity on the sea god island. And this world is a world with martial souls, which can be weapons, soul beasts, and commonly used agricultural tools. And Soul Master is the most prestigious profession in this world. 6 years have passed, and Changsheng has become accustomed to everything on Haishan Island. During this period, Poseidon adopted Changsheng as his younger brother and announced it on the Sea God Island. The main reason was that Poseidon believed that Changsheng was a descendant of gods, so he did not dare to climb up the relationship, fearing that it would attract some deity leader. Li Changsheng looked at his current situation and behavior, as if he had just traveled, as if he had some connection with Tang San. Damn it! Thinking of this, Li Changsheng let out a sigh. As for the villain, he should stay away from him. If any hidden weapon or big shot from the divine realm were to come and take action, he could directly say goodbye to the world. Xiao Changsheng, Lord Poseidon is looking for you. Just as Li Changsheng was staring blankly at the sky, a rough voice rang out. Then Li Changsheng turned around and immediately saw a middle-aged man walking over. Uncle Hailong. Looking at the man in front of him, Li Changsheng whispered and curiously asked, Uncle Hailong, why is Sister Cici looking for me? Upon hearing this, Haima Douluo just shook his head and a hint of emotion flashed in his eyes. His tone was a bit off and he said, I don't know. Lord Poseidon can come to you for help. Come with me quickly. After hearing Haima Douluo speak like this, Li Changsheng did not hesitate and immediately followed behind him. Under the leadership of Haima Douluo, Li Changsheng finally arrived at the position where Poseidon was located. Haima Douluo quickly retreated before and after taking Li Changsheng to the west of Posesse. You should know that Poseidon Island has a strict hierarchical system, and as the strongest of Poseidon Island and also the spokesperson of Poseidon in the mortal world, her status is the highest, and her clothes are also bright red. And like Haima Douluo and Haima Douluo, although they are also titled Douluo, their strength and positioning are much lower than Poseidon. Therefore, Haima Douluo always uses the excuse that Haima Douluo wants to see Li Changsheng, secretly watching Poseidon's stunning appearance from the side. In contrast, Li Changsheng only wants to despise Haima Douluo harshly, likes him, and insists on acting like a thief, which is really embarrassing. In front of Li Changsheng, Poseidon's stunning face smiled slightly and waved at him, gesturing for him to come to her. Under the gaze of Li Changsheng, Poseidon was 1.8 meters tall, wrapped in a red robe and with sea blue hair flowing down his back. In Posesse's hand, there was a golden scepter, which was 3 meters high. The top of the scepter was a spear-like protrusion, with a golden gemstone embedded above it. Upon seeing this, Li Changsheng did not hesitate and approached Poseidon. Watching the child grow up from childhood, Posesse touched Li Changsheng's small head with his hand, then led Li Changsheng's hand to a certain reef and sat down. The two of them looked at the peaceful and azure sea for a while. Li Changsheng couldn't help but be curious and asked, Sister Cici, are you here for something? Upon hearing this, Poseidon nodded and said, Changsheng, you are now 6 years old. Tomorrow is the time for you to awaken your martial soul. After pausing for a moment, Poseidon whispered, Sister, can I ask you something? Ah! Li Changsheng was shocked. What can he do? However, to dispel doubts, Li Changsheng still asked, Sister, tell me what I can do and I will help you. Poseidon looked at the little guy in front of him, then turned his gaze to the location of Douluo continent and whispered, Changsheng, if you awaken a powerful martial soul tomorrow, Sister hopes you can go to the continent and help me find a man while studying. Upon hearing this, Li Changsheng's eyebrows furrowed slightly. Male. It seems that he is the only man who can make Poseidon take the initiative to find him. Former leader of Haotian's sect, also a peerless Douluo at level 99, possessing the world's first weapon, the martial soul, and known as the invincible on land, Tang Chen. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Awakening of Martial Souls and Coming to the Door of the Divine Throne. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. Awakening of Martial Souls and Coming to the Door of the Divine Throne. See God Island. Upon hearing Poseidon's request, Li Changsheng immediately understood. You should know that Poseidon, as the great deity of the Sea God Island, has to sit on the Sea God Island. Without the command of the Sea God, she cannot leave the Sea God Island because once she leaves, the deep-sea demon whale king, who has been a soul beast for millions of years, will definitely take the opportunity to attack the Sea God Island. Without her Sea God Island, she has no ability to fight back against the attack of the deep-sea demon whale king. That's why she spoke up this request. After a while, Changsheng pretended not to know and curiously asked, "Sister Cece, who do you want me to go find?" Upon hearing this, Poseidon turned his gaze to Douluo continent and said indifferently, "His name is Tang Chen. Like his sister, he is a peerless Douluo at level 99. His martial soul is Haotian Hammer, and he is the leader of the first sect in the world on the continent." Upon hearing Poseidon's words, Changsheng thought for a moment and asked, "Sister, can't you go out and find him yourself? You are also a peerless Douluo, and actively searching for him is much faster than me." In contrast, Poseidon just shook his head and said, "I can't do it. I want to sit on the island of Poseidon, and although you live on the island, you're not from it, so you can't stay here." The two of them have been living together for years, and Poseidon cannot possibly have no feelings for Changsheng. That's why he used this reason to get Changsheng out, hoping to take advantage of this gap and avoid the assessment of the sea god. Although Poseidon speculates that Changsheng is a descendant of a certain deity, she is not sure which deity it is. If it is a deity stronger than the sea god, she may be lenient, let Changsheng go or reduce the difficulty of the assessment. But what if the sea god is not merciful? So when facing the safety of Changsheng's life, Poseidon dared not be careless or gamble, and gradually, Changsheng's fun seemed to enter Poseidon's heart. Upon hearing this, Changsheng immediately understood Poseidon's meaning and then silently nodded, saying, "I understand. I will leave Sea God Island tomorrow." Watching Changsheng's low mood, Posesse also felt a bit uncomfortable. Over the years, she seemed to have become accustomed to the life with Changsheng, which she had not noticed before. However, it was not until Changsheng truly wanted to leave her that she realized how important Changsheng was in her heart. At this moment, neither of them spoke, watching the seawater and the gradually setting sun. It wasn't until night that Poseidon held Changsheng's hand and returned to the sea god temple. The next day, Haishan Mountain. Today's awakening of martial souls may not be as strict, but the personnel arriving are top-notch warriors, all at the level of title Douluo. This is also the first time since Poseidon became a major deity that he has personally presided over the awakening of martial souls, and around him are the 7 pillars of Douluo. Each of their faces shows a hint of incorrect emotions, but as the protagonist, Changsheng did not notice it. Quickly, it was time for the awakening of the martial soul. Poseidon opened his eyes and looked at Changsheng, whispering, "Changsheng, go up." Upon hearing this, Changsheng nodded solemnly and said, "Okay." As Changsheng stepped onto the altar, Posesse's right scepter burst into a brilliant golden light. At the moment when golden energy was injected into the martial soul awakening stone, the entire sea god temple was illuminated with golden light. Then, under the shocked gaze of Posesse and others, the black stick behind Changsheng burst into an extreme golden light. At the same time, almost the entire sea god mountain was covered by a deep blue light. The light never dissipated for a long time, but instead became even more dazzling. "Lord Poseidon, what's going on? Why is the awakening of little Changsheng's martial soul causing the trident of the sea god to react?" On the side, seeing the sea girl Douluo beyond their imagination, they asked first. In the entire sea god island, apart from Poseidon, the person who has the best relationship with Changsheng is not sea dragon or sea horse, but the seemingly silly sea girl Douluo in front of him. Upon hearing this, Poseidon shook his head and said, "I don't know." Although his tone was calm, Poseidon's right hand holding the scepter revealed his veins, indicating that Poseidon was also very puzzled and worried about the scene before him. "Changsheng, feel the martial soul inside your body with your heart and try to summon it," Poseidon said loudly without hesitation. Upon hearing Poseidon's reminder, Changsheng immediately communicated with his hidden martial soul. At that moment, Changsheng was immersed in a warm world with an indescribable sense of comfort. Under the traction of this warm force, something seemed to break inside the body. Immediately after, under the gaze of Poseidon and the guardians of the 7 pillars, the deep blue light was immediately occupied by darkness, pure white light, destruction, darkness, eerie and vitality, life, and sacred breath filled the entire sea god island. And above Li Changsheng's head, a black and white jade plate quietly hung there. This mysterious jade plate is engraved with ancient mysterious runes all over, black and white in color, and a powerful aura emanates from Li Changsheng. At this moment, Li Changsheng's soul power was involuntarily released from his body and uncontrollably injected into the trident of the sea god. At the same time, the entire 7 holy pillars exploded outside, sounding like firecrackers, staring at the residents of the entire sea god island. What's going on? All the people of Haishan Island were stunned and they saw this scene in front of them. The 7 sacred pillars representing divine majesty were all blown up. And everyone in the sea god temple, seeing such a situation, also looked bewildered. What kind of situation is this? Earth, there's an earthquake. The whole island is shaking with mountains and earth, and an unprecedented earthquake has occurred. Blue light. Under the loud voice of a resident of Haishan Island, all the shattered pillars erupted with an extreme blue light. And coming towards Li Changsheng at an extreme speed. Just as the blue light was about to reach the sea god temple, countless powerful auras descended upon the sea god island. Colorful divine powers simultaneously bombarded the blue light, and the entire sea god island seemed to be hit by a shell, almost sinking. After one breath, the Temple of the Sea, located in Poseidon's location, once again erupted with a strong blue light. The vast power fills the sea god island. All the sea soul masters, upon seeing this, immediately knelt devoutly on the ground and worshipped towards the blue light. At this moment, countless cheers echoed through the sea god island. Dog day sea god, put that child down, it's mine. I'm going to Nima, that's my seat. Get out of here. Don't fight his mother. The god of the sea is crazy. First, kill the power of the god of the sea. That's right, Grandma. Even if I don't get this child, I'll still cause trouble for the sea god. Let's deal with him before we talk. Various angry and insulting voices spread throughout the sea god island, almost bringing back the ancestors of the sea god for 18 generations. Facing the insults of these people, the sea god did not refute them at all. He calmly blocked all the attacks of the gods and pulled the sea god's divine power into Li Changsheng's body. I'll fuck you, sea god. Are you also worthy of fighting with us? Get out of here. Just as the sea god was overjoyed, a shout of anger echoed through the sea god temple. Then, 2 dark purple and emerald green lights came from above the 9 heavens, instantly dispersing the sea god's divine power and injecting it into Li Changsheng's body. Damn it, destruction, are you going too far? Watching his own power being blocked, the sea god roared and felt helpless. It was almost like this kid was his, but unfortunately, it attracted the action of those 2 in the divine realm. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Sea God exploding at the beginning. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Chapter 4. Sea God exploding at the beginning. Sea God Island. Seeing the disappearance of the sea god's divine power, everyone was shocked. What was the situation? Before everyone could react, 2 ultimate forces came from above the 9 heavens and injected directly into Li Changsheng's body. Suddenly, a circular mark appeared on Li Changsheng's forehead, with purple and green accounting for half each. Lord Haishan, what do you mean by this? Poseidon was completely bewildered. Seeing that she had not yet reacted to the situation before her, she quickly regained her senses and asked the trident of the sea god. At this moment, Haima Douluo and others also approached at this moment, wanting to know what the situation was. At this moment, Li Changsheng's eyes slowly opened and he looked at the expressions of the people in front of him. His brows furrowed slightly and he asked in confusion, "What expression are you looking at? What happened? Changsheng, have you felt any discomfort?" Poseidon asked curiously. After all, the situation before her had exceeded her cognitive range, and she was afraid that Li Changsheng would be affected. Upon hearing Poseidon's words, Li Changsheng blinked his eyes and immediately felt his body before shaking his head and saying, "It's okay, I feel pretty good." "Sister Cece, what happened?" Upon hearing this, a few people exchanged a glance, their faces showing a puzzled expression. Doesn't this kid know what happened? Upon seeing this, Haima Douluo approached and asked softly, "Xiao Changsheng, don't you know what happened just now?" Upon hearing this, Li Changsheng finally understood and explained, "Are you talking about the two rays of purple and green light?" Everyone immediately nodded, wanting to know what was going on. After releasing his martial soul, Li Changsheng said calmly, "It's nothing, it's just an assessment of two divine positions, it's a small problem." If you didn't have a smile on your face, I would have truly believed what you said. Poseidon rolled his eyes, feeling a bit speechless, and then curiously asked, "By the way, what are the two divine assessments you mentioned?" Just as Li Changsheng was preparing to answer, a blue light illuminated the entire sea god temple, and then an old man appeared out of thin air. "Hey, old man, who are you?" The old man who had intended to take the initiative to greet Li Changsheng almost got angry when he heard Li Changsheng's words. He then reminded himself that he couldn't provoke him and said seriously, "Child, can you respect the old man? I am a sea god. Are you the sea god? Shouldn't all sea gods be tall and powerful?" Li Changsheng frowned slightly, with a suspicious expression on his face. He looked at Poseidon and asked, "Sister Cece, is this old man really a sea god?" Poseidon nodded and whispered, "Changsheng, he's really a sea god." While speaking, Poseidon glanced at the expression of the sea god with his eyes, wanting to see his expression. After receiving recognition from Poseidon, Li Changsheng grinned and said, "Grandpa Sea God, I recognized you at a glance. I was just joking with you earlier." Upon hearing this, everyone's lips twitched. It was really rubbing the intelligence of the sea god on the ground. It was really strange if the sea god could believe it. But what happened next shocked everyone. The sea god was not even angry, but instead smiled and said, "It's okay, I already knew, so I didn't take it to heart." Upon hearing this, Li Changsheng's face became solemn. There was something wrong, something fishy. After all, he didn't think his face was so big. Seeing Li Changsheng's reaction, the sea god just smiled faintly and then drove out all the 7 holy pillars Douluo, leaving only Poseidon to stay here. After the 7 sacred pillars left, the sea god struck a divine force into the sea god trident. Then, under the shocked gaze of Posesse, the sea god pulled out the sea god trident and came to Li Changsheng. He took a drop of blood from him and dropped it into the sea god trident. After a while, Li Changsheng found himself bound to the trident of the sea god and asked in confusion, "Sea god, what do you mean? Why did you give me the trident of the sea god? I'm not the heir of the sea god, and I can't use it either." Upon hearing this, the sea god smiled and said, "Who said that one must be the heir of the sea god in order to use the sea god trident? This weapon is mine, and whoever I want to use can use it." Until now, Li Changsheng has not understood the meaning of the sea god. Although the inheritance he obtained is not the sea god, why did the sea god give him the sea god trident? Do you think so? Thinking of this, Li Changsheng slowly understood that it was actually this idea. Seeing Li Changsheng who understood in an instant, Haishan nodded with satisfaction. This child is really not smart, no wonder those two would take the initiative. "How is it?" the sea god asked with a smile. Upon hearing the question from sea god, Li Changsheng fell silent, while sea god remained calm and waited on the side. After a while, Li Changsheng looked up and looked at the sea god with some confusion, asking, "Do we have to do this? What if I don't find that person or if you don't like it?" "Impossible, I believe in your judgment." Sea god shook his head and looked at Li Changsheng, saying helplessly, "After all, it's been so long, and I also want to let go of what I'm doing." Upon hearing this, Li Changsheng nodded and reached out to grab the trident of the sea god. He then glanced at Poseidon and immediately said, "So, whether I find it or not, you promise me a condition." How about that? The sea god thought for a moment, but did not refuse. He asked softly, "You come and listen. That is to say, if that person passes the sea god 9 exams, you are not allowed to have Sister Cece offer sacrifices. You can try a different way to make him the sea god." Li Changsheng said with a serious expression, "I believe this matter is just a casual matter for you." Upon hearing Li Changsheng's conditions, Poseidon felt extremely happy and grateful in her heart. She did not expect Li Changsheng to have such conditions. "Okay, it's a deal," replied the sea god. "But the premise is good. If I don't find it, or if I feel that the person's character and strength are not good after finding it, then I won't return the sea god trident," Li Changsheng added. "After all, the words must be agreed first, otherwise the old man will go back and retrieve the trident midway, which will be a bit troublesome." After a moment of silence, sea god agreed and said, "Okay, just do as you say." Sea god turned around and glanced at Poseidon before speaking, "Child, go out first. I have something to tell Poseidon." Upon hearing this, Li Changsheng did not hesitate and walked towards the outside with a trident in his hand. Seeing Li Changsheng disappear behind the main hall, the sea god looked at Poseidon and said solemnly, "Poseidon, I have a task for you." "Lord Poseidon, please speak," Poseidon respectfully asked. "We must spare no effort to bind him to the sea god island. His achievements and future are definitely above mine. Therefore, I need to remind you that no matter what method you use, you must keep him here." The sea god said with a very serious expression, "It seems that the child has a good relationship with you, so you can choose to marry him and become his wife when he grows up." "What?" Upon hearing this, Poseidon was shocked and confused. He quickly said, "Lord Sea God, Changsheng is only 6 years old, and I am already over 100 years old. How can this be done? Moreover, even if I agree, Changsheng may not necessarily agree." Upon hearing Poseidon's words, the sea god waved his hand indifferently and said, "What's the matter? It's just that he's over 100 years older. When he becomes a god, these 100 years will just pass in a blink of an eye, and I didn't insist on you using this method. Anyway, you can think of a way to bind him to Sea God Island. Additionally, I have a premonition that his assessment will not be on Sea God Island, so send him out as soon as possible and let him participate in the assessment." After speaking, the phantom of the sea god disappeared, leaving only Poseidon scattered in the wind. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Leaving the Sea God Island. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. Leaving the Sea God Island. Li Changsheng, who walked out of the room, looked back at the room inside and frowned slightly. Isn't it funny that the sea god actually wants him to find the sea god inheritor? And it seems that Tang San's journey may really have nothing to do with the sea god. After all, he gave himself this broken fork. The more he thought about it, the more strangely Changsheng looked at the trident in his hand, feeling a bit puzzled. It seemed that everything would have to wait for the mainland to know, and the trident in his hand could not be used too much. After all, this thing did not belong to him, and he didn't know if the sea god would be involved in it. Not long after Li Changsheng left, Poseidon also walked out of the sea god temple, with a face full of silence and confusion. The sea god actually asked her to do so. Isn't this funny? Li Changsheng is still so young, if he grows up, it will be almost the same. Thinking of this, Poseidon quickly shook her head. What was she thinking, whether she would grow up or not? Looking at Poseidon, who was thinking more and more outrageously, she sighed and walked towards Li Changsheng with a crystal ball. Divine Realm, Sea God Temple. Although the sea god is a first-level god second only to the Divine King, he possesses a supernatural artifact that only the Divine King can possess. The sea god Trident, and his strength is also among the top in the group of first-level gods. In the Divine Realm, there are very few gods who possess artifacts, let alone supernatural artifacts. It is precisely the trident of the sea god that belongs to the category of supernatural artifacts, and the status of the sea god in the Divine Realm is very high. After feeling the news from his clone, the corner of the sea god's mouth slightly raised. Even if he didn't get this child, it wasn't a big problem. After all, with the help of this child, he could still run away and enjoy himself. Sea God Island. The 7 holy pillars Douluo looked at the trident of the sea god in Changsheng's hand and fell into contemplation. It doesn't make sense, isn't it, that he hasn't received the inheritance of the sea god? Did you fail the 7th sea god exam? How can we use the trident of the sea god? Xiao Changsheng, let's test your soul power now. Just as everyone was puzzled, Poseidon's figure appeared behind Changsheng. Upon hearing this, Changsheng immediately turned around and saw Poseidon, dressed in a red robe, walking towards him with a crystal ball. Posesse approached Changsheng, handed the crystal ball in his hand, and whispered, "You're running so fast, you're not waiting for me. Come and see your soul power." Upon seeing this, Changsheng did not hesitate and extended his right hand to grip the crystal ball. Suddenly, the crystal ball shone brightly, and then slowly weakened under the shocked gaze of everyone, until only a little light existed in the end. Seeing this situation, everyone once again fell into contemplation. Congenital level 1. What does it mean? Is it funny? A person who is favored by 2 deities has only 1 level of innate soul power. Is there a mistake? They found that the things they had experienced in their whole life were not as shocking as they are today, which really opened their eyes. Changsheng, who was the first to react, asked in confusion, "Sister Cece, what is the situation? What is my level?" Poseidon remained silent for a long time before speaking. "I don't know what's going on in your situation. As for your innate soul power, if I'm not mistaken, it should be level 1. Upon hearing this, Changsheng was shocked. He was born at the 1st level. No way, it doesn't make sense. Being able to be favored by 2 divine kings, coupled with being said by the old man from the sea god, there's no reason to be born at level 1. Is there something wrong? Seemingly realizing that Changsheng's situation was not right, Posesse touched his head and comforted him. "It's not a big deal, isn't it, just a congenital level? It's not a big problem, and don't you have 2 divine level assessments? Maybe there will be something good in the later assessment rewards." Upon hearing Poseidon's words, others quickly comforted him, fearing that Changsheng's Tao heart might be unstable. Changsheng blinked his eyes and said in silence, "I know what you mean. My heart is not that fragile, it's just a bit hard to understand." Just as Changsheng was speaking, in the soul world, the black and white jade plate was rapidly devouring the power of the dragon scales and the blood in his heart, while on the other end, there was a brilliant divine mirror, in which a very weak force was operating. The next day, on the pier of Haishan Island, Changsheng and the unattainable sea dragon Douluo looked at Poseidon and the other holy pillar Douluo. Looking at the expression on Hailong Douluo's face, Haima Douluo and others wanted to laugh. Who made Hailong Douluo have high cultivation? Who wouldn't send you to send? Posesse looked at the child in front of him, feeling a lot of reluctance. They had been together for years, and now they are about to part ways. It is impossible to say that they are not feeling uncomfortable, and it is uncertain when they will be able to return from their trip to the mainland. At the moment of parting, Poseidon repeatedly reminded Changsheng, "Don't run around on the mainland, and follow your sea dragon uncle well." Changsheng nodded, indicating that he knew. After seeing Changsheng nod, Posesse turned his gaze to Hailong Douluo and said seriously, "Hailong, the safety of Changsheng is up to you. Besides protecting his safety, you also need to pay attention to his assessment. I guess most of his assessments should be conducted on the mainland, so your task this time is very heavy. Don't worry, big offering." Hailong Douluo, who understood that his task was extremely important, quickly patted his chest and promised, "As long as I have 1 breath left, I won't let Changsheng be harmed." Poseidon nodded and then said, "Let's go quickly, it's getting late too." Upon hearing this, Changsheng and Hailong Douluo did not hesitate, and immediately set sail. Under the gaze of a group of people, the ship gradually drifted away, slowly heading towards the mainland, until Haishan Island disappeared and disappeared. Li Changsheng stood on the ship's planks, looking at the endless sea and curiously asked, "Uncle Hailong, how many forbidden areas, treasures, and 100,000-year-old soul beasts are there in this sea?" Upon hearing this, Hailong Douluo frowned slightly and asked in confusion, "What do you want?" "I'll tell you, take back your bad intentions. Last time we went to dig a forbidden area together, we almost ruined myself. About 2 years ago, Li Changsheng came across a forbidden area from some book and said there were many treasures inside. So he quickly called Hailong Douluo and the two of them headed towards the forbidden area together. Just as the two of them entered the forbidden area, they realized that it was completely a trap, and they didn't know which old man had set it up. However, fortunately, Hailong Douluo had strong strength and forcefully broke through, quickly bringing Li Changsheng back. And it wasn't until later that it was discovered that the place was set up by the old man of the sea god 10,000 years ago, specifically for hunting soul beasts. After learning about this, Posesse directly hanged Hailong Douluo and then imprisoned Li Changsheng for half a month. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Enemies who come with evil. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. Enemies who come with evil. The scenery of the sea cannot be replaced by any other scenery. If you have not truly been to the sea, you will never be able to feel that magnificent feeling. The boundless sea surface, where water and sky meet in the distance. At this moment, the sun has slowly risen from the east, shining on the shimmering sea surface. Li Changsheng looked at the sea dragon Douluo in front of him, but his mind turned to the other side. After a while, Li Changsheng asked, "Uncle Hailong, what do you think we should go to after we arrive in the mainland?" Upon hearing this, Hailong Douluo was taken aback and lost in thought for a long time before speaking up, "Why don't we find a house to settle down first? Otherwise, it's not good to keep running around like this all day, and I don't know what your assessment is now or when it will come." "It's also good." Li Changsheng nodded and then seemed to have thought of something. He grinned and said, "Uncle Hailong, do you have money?" "Of course there is." Hailong Douluo smiled and said, "When Daswa left, he gave me a lot of money and said we should use it casually." Upon hearing this, Li Changsheng was taken aback and asked curiously, "Uncle Hailong, you're not mistaken, are you using it casually? When did Sister Cece become so rich?" "How come I don't know?" "Let you know, okay." Hailong Douluo rolled his eyes and looked at the sea ahead, saying, "The reason for the great offering was that you were afraid that you wouldn't be able to eat or drink well on the mainland, so we deducted all the salaries of our 7 holy pillars Douluo and used them all to make up for it here. Otherwise, how do you think there would be so much money?" On the night before leaving, Poseidon immediately called Hailong Douluo and secretly gave him a pile of gold soul coins. At first, he thought Poseidon had realized his conscience and had taken out his private money. Then, with Poseidon's words, Hailong Douluo broke through the defense. "Hailong, this is the gold coin of your 7 sacred pillars Douluo. I plan to use this money as your budget, do you have any objections?" At night, Poseidon looked at Hailong Douluo with a gentle expression and said, "Holy crap!" After hearing Poseidon's words, Hailong Douluo was confused. Can he still do this? Isn't it good to use their salaries as funds? Although he has no objections, what about the others? Of course, Hainu Douluo may not have any objections, so Hailong Douluo asked in confusion, "Dazun, did you tell them? What do they mean?" "No, there isn't." Posesse shook his head and said calmly, "Anyway, it's not yet time to pay the salary." "What do you say? And you're leaving tomorrow?" "Then I'll say that Haishan Island has had a financial crisis in recent years and can't be paid out for a while, okay?" Upon hearing this, Hailong Douluo's mouth twitched, which was really a good solution. On the boat, recalling what happened last night, Hailong Douluo felt a bit embarrassed, but when he thought that all the money was for his own use, the guilt in his heart immediately disappeared. Just as the two of them were preparing to go back to rest, the sea experienced violent fluctuations, and a huge killer whale emerged from the surface of the water, with tremendous momentum, heading straight towards their boat. Bold! Haima Douluo let out a loud roar, his whole body leaped high, and the third soul ring suddenly lit up. The third soul skill, the transformation of the deep sea dragon king. Faced with the sudden attack of the evil demon tiger whale king, Haima Douluo dared not dodge and directly punched him. Boom! With a loud bang, Haima Douluo and the demon tiger whale king both took a few steps back. Looking at the evil demon tiger whale king blocking the way ahead, Haima Douluo spoke up and asked, "Evil demon, why are you blocking our path?" "Why? Of course it's killing you." Fierce words spread from the mouth of the demon tiger whale king, leaving both of them looking bewildered. Changsheng looked at the nearby sea dragon Douluo and asked in confusion, "Uncle Sea Dragon, did you provoke it?" Upon hearing this, Haima Douluo was taken aback for a moment, then carefully recalled it before saying, "No, I haven't seen it much in these years. How could I possibly have a grudge against him?" After hearing the words of Haima Douluo, Changsheng blinked and asked, "Evil demon tiger whale king, we didn't provoke you. Why are you killing us?" Looking at the innocent expressions of the two, the demon tiger whale king became even more angry and said, "Did you come to a forbidden area 2 years ago?" "Forbidden area? 2 years ago?" Changsheng fell silent for a moment, lost in memories. After a while, he seemed to have thought of something. After poking Haima Douluo's arm with his little hand, he whispered, "Uncle Hailong, is it the time we were punished by Sister Cici last time?" Upon hearing Changsheng's prompt, Haima Douluo remembered that they had indeed come to a forbidden area 2 years ago, but what was it related to? "I can't refuse to let people in." Thinking of this, Haima Douluo asked, "So what if we go there? Is that place belonging to your demon killer whale clan? We can't go there once, so you should come and kill us." After saying that, Haima Douluo felt very aggrieved. He and Changsheng went in to see his mother, but they were beaten back by those mechanisms before they went inside. Later, when they returned to Haishan Island, they were laughed at by other Shangsu Douluo and beaten by Posesse. Until today, another 100,000-year-old evil killer whale king came to kill him, which made Haima Douluo very depressed and helpless. Who did he provoke? Why do you treat him like this? His mother, what's wrong? Why do you bring out the local organs when you go there? Looking at the two people in front of him, the demon tiger whale king immediately broke through his defenses and cursed a few times before saying, "After you went out, those mechanisms followed you out." As a result, the old men were beaten to death by the mechanisms inside. Upon hearing this, Changsheng let out a bitter smile. It turned out that there was such a thing happening. He said, "Why was there a loud noise when we were leaving?" After a while, it turned out that they were being beaten. "Stop talking nonsense, what do you want?" Haima Douluo didn't care much and asked directly. "It's easy, just leave your lives behind." The demon tiger whale king showed no mercy and did not give Changsheng and the other two a chance to negotiate. He said, "When you were on the Sea God Island, Posesse's presence prevented us from finding a chance, but now it's different. She's not here. How could you stop us alone? Stay here obediently." The demon killer whale king let out a roar and quickly rushed over. "Little Changsheng, hide behind me. I will teach him to behave well today." "It's so arrogant," his mother. Faced with the unreasonable behavior of the demon tiger whale king, Haima Douluo was also very angry and didn't get used to it at all. He just went straight up. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Disappearing Population. Changsheng. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. Disappearing Population. Changsheng. The sea is a place far away from Haishan Island. Changsheng and Haima Douluo walked well, but the appearance of the demon tiger whale king intercepted their journey. Seeing the behavior of the demon tiger whale king and hearing his explanation, Haima Douluo was not used to him at all and directly started fighting with the demon tiger whale king. At the moment when the two of them started fighting, Changsheng quickly ran to the side, afraid of being affected. After all, he was just a waste of first-level soul power, and the small aftermath of the fight could shock him to death. Therefore, for the sake of his own life, he should honestly hide away. Under the gaze of Changsheng, the soul skills of Haima Douluo were released one after another, and a huge wave of soul power filled the sea, stirring up 100 zhang of seawater. The demon tiger whale king felt the opponent's strength and just sneered, saying, "It's just a level 95 title Douluo. Who gave you the courage to confront this place? You think you're Poseidon and the sea god?" As the words fell, the seawater in the surrounding sea boiled like boiling water. Countless thick red water columns, resembling water tanks, spewed out from behind the demon tiger whale king and headed straight towards the sea dragon Douluo in the sky. "Uncle Hailong, its attack seems to be devouring, you need to be careful." Changsheng reminded him loudly as he saw the sky filled with water columns. Understood. After a response from Haima Douluo, the seventh soul ring on his body suddenly lit up, and then a huge sea dragon phantom appeared behind him. Faced with the attack of the evil demon tiger whale king, he was not afraid at all and collided directly. Boom! With a deafening roar, the two soul skills collided directly and exploded in the sky. The brilliant blue soul power, mixed with the overwhelming sea water, fell down with a loud bang, causing the entire sea area to stir up turbulent waves. Therefore, Changsheng could only grab the objects on the boat with force to avoid being blown away. The duel between the 95-year title Douluo and the 100,000-year soul beast's soul skills should not be underestimated. If it weren't for their large ship, Changsheng would probably have died somewhere long ago. "Uncle Hailong, help me." The ship being hit by the towering waves kept shaking, causing Changsheng to have no sense of security. Why is it always himself who gets hurt, his grandfather? He remembers that he seems to have just left the sea god island and hasn't arrived on the mainland yet. Why is he so unlucky? Due to the loud sound of the towering waves colliding with the ship ahead, Haima Douluo, who was engaged in a serious fight with the demon tiger whale king, did not even hear Changsheng's cries and cries for help. Damn it! Upon realizing that he could not benefit from the sea dragon Douluo, the demon tiger whale king suddenly roared loudly, "Die for me, tiger whale realm." As the words fell, the evil demon tiger whale king completely rampaged and used his domain skills to set off a towering wave that was hundreds of meters high, wanting to kill both Changsheng and Haima Douluo in the sea. Domain. After feeling his own strength being suppressed, Haima Douluo immediately reacted, and his ninth soul skill and his demon-breaking realm were all immediately released. Boom! With a loud bang, two completely different forces engulfed and collided over the sea, causing a stalemate. A shocking scene, above the sea, in a world divided into two parts, with the waves of red and blue breath swallowing the sky and destroying the earth. After a moment of stalemate, two forces quickly began to collapse from the middle, and the aftermath backfired, directly shaking the two off. A large amount of fresh blood fell on the sea surface, so glaring. Facing the demon-breaking realm of Haima Douluo, the realm of the demon tiger whale king can be said to be of no use. And seeing the sea dragon Douluo use its ninth soul skill, it did not hesitate too much, and at the same time released its strongest self with a single blow. As a result, both of them were knocked out by the waves generated by the collision, and it was obvious that the outcome was difficult to determine until the very last moment. In the midst of the stormy waves, Haima Douluo raised his hand to wipe away the blood from the corners of his mouth. Just as he was about to make another move, he suddenly remembered something and shook his body, looking back towards the rear. Not good. Little Changsheng. But seeing the surrounding sea, due to the battle between the two, huge waves surged and spread hundreds of miles away, and the surrounding sea was covered with broken ship boards everywhere. The earth-shattering battle had a wide range of aftershocks beyond expectations. Worried about the safety of Changsheng, Haima Douluo dared not fight anymore and quickly took a step in the air, rushing towards the rear. However, faced with the sea dragon Douluo who wanted to escape, the evil demon tiger whale king did not want to let go of him. After a roar, an even more powerful force was released from him, transforming into a huge water rushing towards the sea dragon Douluo. Upon seeing this, the sixth soul skill on Haima Douluo's body lit up, blocking the attack of the evil demon tiger whale king. He quickly headed towards the distance, not daring to linger here at all. Seeing the fast-running sea dragon Douluo and the broken ship, the demon tiger whale king sneered. It seemed that the boy couldn't survive. Thinking of this, the demon tiger whale king sneaked into the sea and left the area. Ahead, Haima Douluo's face was filled with anxiety and worry. Before he left, he promised Poseidon and Haima Douluo that everything would be fine. However, it wasn't even a day since they came out, and Changsheng didn't know where he had been blown away. It's all his fault for being too careless. He just wanted to block the attack of the demon tiger whale king, but forgot that there was a useless person behind him who was only level 1 soul power. In this vast sea, once Changsheng had an accident, he couldn't survive at all. On the sea surface, the figure of Haima Douluo quickly passed by at an extremely fast speed, and when viewed with the naked eye, only a remnant could be seen. Little Changsheng. Returning to the sea surface of the previous battle, Haima Douluo stopped and shouted loudly. The rough sound spread out, but unfortunately, it was soon drowned out by the sound of the waves and there was no response. Haima Douluo looked at the surging waves below, and his heart really began to be anxious. The sea is vast and boundless, making it easy to lose direction. Unless you are a strong person at level 95 or above, even a soul master who has just entered the title Douluo will eventually be trapped and die in this endless sea due to exhaustion of soul power. Where the hell did that little guy go? Haima Douluo's heart became increasingly anxious, his figure swept out, and he continued to search. After all, if someone really couldn't find him, he would go back alone, and Poseidon would have to skin him. On the sky. The bright moon travels westward. The night is over, and dawn is approaching. In the east, the dawn falls, dyeing the sea level into a beautiful golden hue. Until the morning sun rose high, the sea dragon Douluo rummaged back and forth in 100 miles, but could not find the trace of the child. It's like disappearing out of thin air. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Douluo Sea Vibration. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. Douluo Sea Vibration on the Sea. Due to the duel between Haima Douluo and the evil demon tiger whale king, their ship was destroyed, and Changsheng fell into the sea without a trace. He disappeared within a day of leaving Haishan Island, and there was no one left. Haima Douluo looked at the countless boat planks and debris on the sea, clenched his hands tightly, and a hint of regret flashed deep in his eyes. His grandfather should have taken Changsheng to run away and give him a chicken feather. Now it's over, not to mention that the ship was destroyed, even the people were lost. Where is he going to find him in this vast sea? Haima Douluo looked around and after a moment of thought, his figure quickly flashed past, heading back towards the direction of Haishan Island. The sea is too big, and it is difficult to find Changsheng solely based on his strength. Therefore, in order to find someone as soon as possible, even if he is killed by Posesse, he will still recognize him. Anyway, he is powerless and must go back to find help. Xiao Changsheng, don't have any trouble, otherwise your uncle Hailong may really come to accompany you. What? Missing? Are you joking, Hailong? You've only been out for a day now, haven't you? On the Sea God Island, listening to the news brought back by the sea dragon Douluo, Posesse and others changed their faces greatly. They had not been out for long, but they said they had lost one person and were also convinced. Lord Poseidon, I'll go find someone. Haima Douluo regained her senses, said a word, and immediately turned around to leave, heading towards the distance. "We'll go too." After seeing Haima Douluo leave, the other holy pillar Douluo did not hesitate and immediately left Haishan Island to find someone. "Where's the trident?" After the other 6 pillar Douluo left, Posesse asked with a serious expression, "Does the trident belong to immortals?" "In." Hailong Douluo nodded and said in a condensed voice, "These days, Changsheng hasn't taken out the trident, so the trident should still be on him." "That's good." After hearing that the trident was still on Changsheng's body, Posesse finally breathed a sigh of relief and whispered, "The trident is a divine artifact of the Sea God Lord, and there is also the power of the Sea God Lord in Changsheng's body. Therefore, when the trident feels that Changsheng is in danger, it will definitely protect him. So what you need to do is to find him before the Sea God power in Changsheng's body is used up. Otherwise, you should know the consequences of the Sea Dragon." Speaking of which, Poseidon's eyes were filled with endless coldness and killing intent. "I understand." Feeling Poseidon's undisguised killing intent, Hailong Douluo nodded and said very seriously, "If Changsheng really died at sea, there's no need for adults to take action. I'll take care of it myself." After speaking, Hailong Douluo also flew out and continued to search for the trace of Changsheng. After everyone had left, Poseidon clenched his scepter in his right hand and looked into the distance, her beautiful eyes filled with worry. "Little Changsheng, where are you? Are you still alive? Evil demon tiger whale king. You'd better pray that Changsheng is okay, otherwise, your evil demon tiger whale clan should all be buried with Changsheng." After speaking, Poseidon's killing intent surged into the sky, directly enveloping the sky above Sea God Island, staining the originally deep blue sky with blood red. Then he looked ahead at the sea and whispered, "Little White, activate the demon soul Great White Shark clan to search for the traces of immortality." "Yes." As the words fell, a huge shark jumped out of the sea, and then countless sharks began to move, joining in the search for people. Half a day later, countless pirate ships sailed out into the sea. In order to find Changsheng as soon as possible, several titled Douluo did not hesitate to come to the pirate territory in the sea, using the reputation of Sea God Island to invite all pirates to come out. After all, there are many people and great power. And upon hearing the requests of several titled Douluo, none of the pirates refused. After all, they knew that finding that person was equivalent to Haishan Island owing them a favor, and the latter favor could definitely make them soar to the sky. Therefore, no matter how much the cost was, their only goal was to find that child. 10 days later. Under the sensation of Haishan Island, almost the entire Douluo Sea area was shaken, and even mainland ships joined in after hearing the announcement of searching for people from Haishan Island. There is no other way, the strength of Haishan Island and the ability to do something that does not violate principles are too tempting. Therefore, as soon as the Haishan Island incident was released, countless sea areas began to stir up, including some powerful soul beasts. Because everyone knows that this is a big deal, more cost-effective than grabbing countless ships. It is not an exaggeration to say that as long as Changsheng is found, it is equivalent to becoming the hegemon of the Douluo Sea. Even if we take 10,000 steps back, even if we cannot use the conditions of Sea God Island to become the dominant force in the sea, it is still very profitable to seek protection from Sea God Island or exchange it for a treasure. However, it is puzzling that even after countless searches, no one has discovered the trace of Changsheng. It's as if it really disappeared out of thin air. The sea is vast, with a radius of no less than 10,000 miles, and no more than this sea area. Therefore, if you want to find someone, it is undoubtedly searching for a needle in a haystack. Moreover, it is still a child who has been missing for more than 10 days. However, despite this, Haishan Island also issued a death order. To live to see people, to die to see corpses, and Changsheng to die. He could only be buried on the land of Haishan Island, rather than sinking to the bottom of the sea. Wow! On the sea, the waves are turbulent. In the big waves, a slightly imperceptible figure of a child rises and falls, which cannot be seen if not carefully examined. In the vast sea, there is no difference between a person and an ant. In the waves, the children swam and swam desperately, not knowing where they had been swept by the big waves. As Posesse said, the power of the sea god within Li Changsheng's body and the trident provided him with tremendous help. During this period, whenever Li Changsheng felt exhausted and was about to drown or starve, a warm current surged out of his body, dispelling fatigue, filling his energy, and sweeping away hunger. The divine power of the sea god and the trident seemed to have become the life-saving straw for Li Changsheng in the boundless sea, protecting his life countless times. Fortunately, so far, Li Changsheng has not encountered any hurricanes or tsunamis, or monsters like the demon tiger whale king and the deep-sea demon whale king. Otherwise, unless Poseidon and the sea god appear in front of him, he will definitely be fed fish. However, despite this, Li Changsheng was almost unable to hold on. After all, he was not a sea god, so the power of the sea god in his body was also exhausted at that moment. And protecting Li Changsheng on the sea for 10 days was already the limit of the sea god's power in his body. After all, even if Poseidon himself appeared here, she would have exhausted all her soul power to protect Li Changsheng continuously during these 10 days. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Mysterious Woman. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. Mysterious Woman. In a certain sea area of Douluo, at night, the bright moon shines in the sky and stars dot the sky. Due to the carelessness of Haima Douluo, Li Changsheng did not know where he had been lifted up. Help, Uncle Hailong, where are you? In the waves, Li Changsheng swam and shouting for almost 10 days, and his throat was almost hoarse. I don't know if those two people have finished fighting or not. They won't disappear on their own for so many days. They are still fighting, so if that's the case, I have to die in this sea area. Sister Cece, help me, can you hear what I'm saying? Seeing that the situation was not right, Li Changsheng quickly shouted to the trident of the sea god in front of him, Sea god old man, help, are you there? After realizing that the sea god had not responded to him, Li Changsheng shouted to the sky again, God of destruction. Goddess of life. Help, if you don't save me again, you can start the banquet. He shouted twice more, but still only the sound of waves responded. Then, under the surging waves of the dark tide, several sea soul beasts appeared, with their mouths wide open, as if hearing someone's call. Nima. I saw several big fish with their mouths wide open, drooling, and their eyes red as they bit towards me, as if they were treating me like food. Sisters Cece bless, and the sea god blesses the old man. He is still so young and hasn't married yet. He doesn't want to feed the fish. Fortunately, with the protection of the sea god's divine power and the sea god's trident, the few fish soul beasts were unable to enter Li Changsheng's body. They were blocked by the shield made by the sea god's divine power and quickly left after realizing they couldn't eat supper. After seeing several foolish fish leave, Li Changsheng finally breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, with the power of the sea god, these foolish fish had no choice but to do so. I scared him to death, but how much power does this old man have? How many more days can he persist? With this question in mind, Li Changsheng blinked his eyes and looked at the shining trident in his hand, lost in thought. He has been floating on the sea for more than 10 days now, which indicates that the power of the sea god has been used for more than 10 days. However, the sea god injected into his body from the beginning is just a divine idea of the sea god island, so he thinks he should be able to persist for another half-month. After a brief interlude, Li Changsheng looked up at the sun in the sky and then continued to swim forward. Anyway, there will be half a month to ensure that you don't die, so it's better to swim forward. If you reach the sea god island or get close to the shore, it's not impossible. Geography teachers have taught us that the earth is round. In ancient times, Magellan traveled around the world by boat, but now he is the eldest son of the Li family, swimming alone across the sea. He didn't believe it anymore. At the beginning, he got 2 divine exams and a trident, but he could still die in the sea and feed the fish. It has to be said that Changsheng, who died once, has a really good mentality. This can be seen from the change in Poseidon's mentality. Before Changsheng, she stayed alone in the sea god temple. After all, the level of sea god island was too strict, so there were not many people who could talk to Poseidon. Since the birth of Changsheng, her life has become more enriched, and her smile has also increased significantly. Because of this, when she learned that Changsheng had disappeared, she wished to take everyone from Haishan Island out to find someone. If it weren't for the lack of command from the sea god, she probably wouldn't have been able to resist coming out and personally searching. On the sea surface. Wow! Occasionally, the waves hit Changsheng and he fell into the sea. Not long after, Changsheng floated up again with the divine power of the sea god, and then continued to swim. Due to the divine power of the sea god to replenish energy and dispel fatigue, Changsheng's life was constantly on the run, and his dog couldn't help but feel the urge to swim to the shore. However, on the sea, the patience of Douluo, who had been searching for several days but couldn't find the 7 sacred pillars, had long been depleted. Therefore, everyone returned to the sea god island and wanted Poseidon to ask the sea god if there was anything he could do. Sea God Island. The people who returned did not hesitate and headed straight towards the Sea God Mountain. At this moment, Poseidon had already knelt before the huge statue of the Sea God, wanting to ask the Sea God to let him out or ask him to help take a look. During this period, the Sea God didn't fart a single fart, while Poseidon knelt here like this, giving off a feeling that if you don't tell me, I won't get up. And just as the 7 holy pillars Douluo was about to reach the sea god temple, the voice of the sea god finally reached Poseidon's ear. You go, as for his whereabouts, I don't know. He has the power of 2 divine kings, so I can't check. If I can't find them, let the sea dragon search for them in Dalu. Don't worry, with those 2 here, they won't watch that child die like this. After hearing the voice of the sea god, Poseidon quickly stood up with a happy expression on his face. After respectfully bowing, he quickly left the sea god temple and unleashed his 90.9 level spiritual power, starting to search for the whereabouts of Changsheng. Xiao Changsheng, wait for your sister, she's here to save you. After speaking, Poseidon's figure turned into a ray of light, heading straight to the place where the sea dragon Douluo and his companions had scattered before, and starting to search for them from there. Another day passed, and the power of the sea god was almost exhausted. In front of him, a small boat appeared, making Changsheng's eyes light up. His grandfather, after swimming for so long, finally someone came and he didn't have to feed the fish anymore. Upon seeing this, immediately swim towards the small boat ahead. Is anyone there? Help me, help me. As he was about to swim to the side of the small boat, Changsheng shouted loudly, trying to catch the attention of the people on board. After hearing Changsheng's shouts, a beautiful woman wearing a green dress with green hair fluttering in the wind walked out of the boat. After discovering a child ahead, the woman saw the situation and quickly rowed the small boat to stop it in front of her, then pulled Changsheng up from the sea. Thank goodness, I'm finally saved. Thank you, sister. After Changsheng boarded the ship, he gave a heartfelt thank you, to the point where even the woman felt a bit embarrassed. But he didn't care what the other party thought, he only knew he was saved and didn't have to soak in the sea anymore. After all, the taste in the sea was really uncomfortable. Children, how could you fall on the sea? The woman looked at Changsheng and found a blue harpoon for inserting fish in his hand. With some confusion, she asked, did you accidentally fall into the water while fishing with your family? Upon hearing this, Changsheng glanced at the woman ahead and felt a sense of caution in his heart. He replied, Sister, you don't know anything. I was originally running a merchant ship with my family, but during the journey, I encountered bad weather and the ship was destroyed. I drifted on the sea with a boat and this harpoon for almost a day, and the other people on the ship also lost contact. I don't know if they are still alive. At this point, Li Changsheng's eyes were a bit red and he acted very hard. He knew very well that when going out, he would talk to people and ghosts. Suddenly, a small boat appeared in such a place, and there must be ghosts. In addition, Sister Cece was not by his side, so it was impossible to explain everything. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Get along with me, whatever you want. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. Get along with me, whatever you want on the sea. Just as Li Changsheng's sea god power was about to run out, the appearance of a woman saved him. Knowing that he couldn't tell the other party everything outside, Li Changsheng kept a secret and said he came from land, not Sea God Island. We mourn for the loss. After hearing Li Changsheng's words, the woman's lips slightly raised and she asked curiously, "Child, what is your name? Do you have any plans to return to the shore?" Li Dazhuang. Li Changsheng said sincerely. He thought for a moment and decided not to give his real name for now, but to test it using his pseudonym from when he went out with Haima Douluo. After all, he didn't know the other person well and didn't know if they had any other thoughts. Li Dazhuang. The woman in green smiled slightly and said in a gentle voice, "Just call me Little Green." Little Green. Upon hearing this, Li Changsheng was taken aback for a moment. It was such a strange name, but it was just one name. He naturally didn't care, so he asked in confusion, "So, Green Sister, why are we going back to the mainland? After we return to the mainland, I will definitely ask my family to repay you well." In order to reach the mainland as soon as possible, Li Changsheng didn't hesitate to draw a big cake for Xiao Lv, hoping to deceive him. After hearing this, the other party just smiled brightly, glanced at the left side, and said, "You go ahead and change your clothes. We'll go back to the mainland right away." "Oh, okay," Li Changsheng replied, then took out a clean and tidy set of clothes from his soul guide and walked into the small boat. After seeing Li Changsheng enter the small boat, the woman's mouth slightly raised, and with a wave of her left hand, a spiritual power appeared, and then the entire boat was hidden. On the other side, Poseidon flew and searched with her spiritual power. It had been a day since she came out, but with her level 99 spiritual power, she still couldn't find it, which made her very worried. Moreover, the words of the Shanghai gods may not be trustworthy, because even if those two deities have great abilities, they would not come to the human world and violate the rules to save a 6-year-old child. Therefore, in Poseidon's understanding, the only thing Li Changsheng can rely on is himself, and she cannot say that Li Changsheng's safety is entirely on the so-called God King. Although there is a possibility, it is not a matter of 10,000. Especially now that Li Changsheng has been missing for almost half a month and has not yet sent a message to report safety, Poseidon has not taken the words of the sea god to heart. She can only rely on herself. Thinking of this, Poseidon's mental strength became even more concentrated, wanting to find the trace of Li Changsheng. To her disappointment, no matter how she searched or shouted, Li Changsheng seemed to have disappeared into this world without any response. In the end, she had no choice but to believe the words of the sea god and place her hope on those two gods. Upon returning to the Sea God Island, she immediately sent Haima Douluo to the mainland and began searching for the trace of Li Changsheng. Not long after Posesse left, the woman waved her right hand and the small boat came out again, then slowly headed towards the direction of the mainland. "Green Sister, how long will it take to reach the mainland at our speed?" At this moment, Li Changsheng also changed his clothes and walked out, looking at the calm sea ahead. He whispered, "I want to write a letter to my family after arriving on the mainland, otherwise she will definitely be worried. I estimate it will take 2 days." Xiaolu thought for a moment and whispered, "As for writing letters, there's no need to rush. There will be a chance when you arrive on the mainland." Speaking of which, Xiaolu looked at Li Changsheng and asked with a smile, "I see you're almost 6 years old. How are you? Have you awakened your martial soul yet?" Awaken the martial soul." Li Changsheng nodded. After all, this matter is not very important, the other party can see it at a glance. He didn't believe that a weak woman would drive a small boat alone to such a distance, there must be some tricks involved. "Can I see your martial soul?" the woman asked. Li Changsheng nodded but did not refuse. He immediately extended his left hand and a black and white jade plate appeared in his hand, engraved with ancient mysterious runes. After seeing Li Changsheng's martial soul, the woman's eyes narrowed slightly, and a strange emotion flashed through her eyes, then quickly disappeared. Looking at the jade plate in Li Changsheng's hand, Xiaolu smiled slightly and said gently, "I see that you have a connection with me. Why don't you follow me to practice during this period?" After speaking, there were 9 soul rings on Xiaolu's body, and the last soul ring turned out to be a 100,000-year-old soul ring. Title Douluo. Looking at little green soul ring configuration, Li Changsheng frowned slightly. Surprisingly, this woman was titled Douluo. How could this be? In his understanding, the only ones on the mainland who have the title Douluo are the upper 3 schools and the Martial Soul Hall, as well as Dugu Bo and the king of the Star Luo Empire. However, there is no one in his memory who has the title Douluo, whether it is a woman or a green-haired one. Therefore, with this question in mind, Li Changsheng cautiously asked, "Where do you dare to ask where the senior comes from? Where is the power from?" Upon hearing this, she understood Li Changsheng's purpose and simply smiled indifferently, saying, "I am a free soul master, not from any particular faction. I came here this time to search for a herb, but I have been searching for it for a long time and have not found it." Upon hearing the other party's explanation, Li Changsheng didn't believe a single word. He was called Douluo and came to the sea to find herbs and deceive ghosts. He really thought he was a child who didn't understand anything, right? So he glanced at Xiaolu and carefully probed, "If I don't agree, will you kick me off the boat and feed me to the fish?" Little Green didn't answer, just looked at Li Changsheng with a smile. Upon seeing this, Li Changsheng remained silent for a while, then pondered for a long time before saying, "All right, if you win, I will be your person from now on." Upon hearing this, Xiaolu rolled her eyes. This guy, who used to be so unscrupulous when he was a child, reached out his jade hand and patted Li Changsheng's little head. With a smile, she said, "Follow me, you won't be at a disadvantage. If you want a soul ring with a soul ring, you need both soul bones and soul bones. Is it really fake?" Upon hearing the other person's words, Li Changsheng furrowed his brows slightly and looked incredulous. Could this woman be drawing a big cake for him? He still believes in soul rings, but isn't it a bit exaggerated about soul bones? Even Li Changsheng felt that even she herself didn't have many soul bones, and even claimed that she wanted soul bones. "Of course it's true, can I still deceive you?" Xiao Lv smiled slightly and said in a mischievous voice, "Anyway, if you follow me, I won't let you suffer any losses. But if someone bullies you, tell your sister that she will help you seek revenge and throw away his ashes." Upon hearing the other party's domineering words, Li Changsheng increasingly felt that this woman was unreliable. However, now that he had boarded a pirate ship and could not get off, the only solution for him was to wait until the mainland and send a letter to Poseidon asking her to come and save him. End of this chapter.